Okay, good morning, Professor Marlo. This is instructor Stephanie Basso. I'm going to be going and interviewing her on some of the questions that I had regarding obesity. So, good morning.
Good morning, Jasmine.
How are you today?
Doing great. It's a lovely Friday.
Yes. Okay, so first question. What do you feel is the biggest contributor to obesity?
Well, Jasmine, that's a really big, no pun intended, complex question. What do we feel is the biggest contributor to obesity? I could simplify it. I would say our society's current nutritional habits and huge decrease in physical activity.
And regarding that, what are a few things that people can do to try to fight obesity?
Hmm. That's another great question. Um, I personally don't like the word fight because it becomes like a battle. It maybe an alternative word I like to use instead of fight obesity is how can we lower the rate of obesity or work with this issue of obesity. So because the biggest contributors I say are nutritional practices and a huge decrease in physical activity, I think the way to combat or lower the rise of obesity is to start incorporating better nutritional practices and increase physical activity. And we can subcategorize that. If some people were to have, if elementary school age children, for example, were to have more PE classes rather than just one. I just found out my daughter in school, she only has one PE day a week. And if more of us adults would be able to balance our schedule so that we're working more. We live in a chronic stress state right now so that people are overworking and not able to put in that physical activity. So those are a few things. Balance um, and education too. Balance in our schedule so that we can increase physical activity and education so that we can eat better.
Perfect. Okay. Next question I'm going to ask is, do you think genes can predetermine the likelihood of obesity or contribute to being obese?
Ooh, you have a lot of great questions, Jasmine. Research has shown that genetics do play a role in predetermining the likelihood of obesity. That is true. If we come from a family that tends to have a pear-shaped body or bigger genetics, some people call it big boned or whatever, um, to a certain extent, genetics plays a role. However, the amount of role that genetics plays would be considered this much as compared to really what we can control. So even though someone has a higher likelihood of being overweight, they still are not a slave to it. They can still control it by changing their lifestyle, increasing physical activity, and eating healthy. Now you have probably that few population. I don't quote me on what percent, but there might be a few with severe metabolic issues and their thyroids are not acting healthily and they need pharmaceutical drugs. But that's a very low percentage of the population.
Mm-hmm.
And so overall, it's behavioral. It's our behavior that helps lower that genetic slavery, I feel.
Yeah, definitely. Even someone whose genes predetermine them being smaller could end up being obese from lifestyles.
Precisely.
Definitely. Okay, next question. This is one I was kind of interested in. Do you feel or have you seen that maybe people in specific career fields may have higher risk of obesity? Question number 6.
Do people in specific career fields have higher risk of obesity?
People who have like maybe office jobs who sit more frequently, those types of things.
Okay. I'm seeing a lot of people who have the average 9 to 5 p.m. type of jobs and they're at the desk all day tend to have higher obesity. And in addition to obesity, start to have more postural types of issues, such as carpal tunnel if they're on the computer a lot, or just aching back because of their posture and lack of conditioning with their core. So career fields, maybe specifically we could say those in the maybe the business field, office, accountant, type clerical, secretarial, I would assume.
Okay, okay. And then back to um, one of the other things that you had asked, I'm going to skip and go to question number 9. What health factors are at risk when obesity affects individuals? I know you had talked about people with thyroid problems being more susceptible to being obese, but what health factors are heightened when people gain a lot of weight or at an obese state in their life?
Wonderful question. Recently, in 2012 or 2013, obesity has become an official disease in the field of medicine. And so some people think, okay, obesity is one type of disease, but that really isn't true, because when somebody becomes overweight, obese, or morbidly obese, they now have introduced a host of health factors and issues. And so here's a few of them: uh, heart disease, type 2 diabetes, stroke, high blood pressure, high cholesterol, back pain, infertility. Those are a few of the many that I can start to think of. But then, overall, we see a host of them when someone becomes more overweight.
Okay. And I'm gonna go and skip to or go back. For severely obese individuals, have you felt in your own personal opinion that surgery is a safe means of weight loss?
Ooh, that's deep and controversial.
Yes.
Because lately in the field of surgery, medicine and surgery, the amount of gastric bypass, lap band surgeries has greatly increased. And I just found out that the qualifications and requirements to become a candidate for these types of surgery have become easier, where it used to be like only morbidly obese people can have them, and now more like overweight people can have them. Is it a safe means of weight loss? My master's degree is in sports psychology. So my approach to this is, before someone has this type of a surgery for weight loss, I would highly suggest they go through a curriculum or a program where they're still learning how to improve their behavior, so that in the future they do not gain the weight back after surgery, because surgery will not cure it.
Mm-hmm.
Temporarily it will, but it won't cure it. I've known a lot of people who have had these surgeries, and because they didn't master the mental aspect and the behavioral aspect, they ended up gaining their weight back and then some.
Oh my. Oh my. Okay. Um, I'm gonna skip number 10 because we did go over the schools with education of obesity. Actually, no, I'm gonna ask that question. Do you think that schools do enough to educate children on the risks of obesity? Elementary school students, that was something that I hadn't learned. Do you think you having children in school right now, are they getting educated in obesity and the health and risk factors of that?
Oh, another great question. My daughter is in 5th grade and my son is in 1st grade. And though I'm not sitting with them in class all the time, I love to hear what they learn in school every day. And me being a fitness professional and in this field of nutrition, I do my best to not pressure my children regarding how they look, and just to be happy and healthy with themselves and to make better health choices. And it seems like my thoughts are, they are educated to a certain extent on the risk of obesity. I'm not sure to what extent, though. I do know that schools are creating better health lunch choices, menu items, breakfast choices. I think those examples right there already teach children the importance of balance and healthy choices with foods. There is PE. Mm, so at this point, as a parent, honestly, I actually do not know how much education children are having regarding this topic.
Okay. I want to go into health insurance and medical now. Do you think, number 11, do you think health insurance should cover obesity prevention?
Ooh, I think it should, because as obesity increases, the rates of obesity increase, so do the cost of health insurance in general. Because remember, when obesity increases, so does a plethora of health issues increase. So if health insurances would invest or create a program for obesity prevention, and this could be covering fitness, physical activity programs, nutritional classes, I think everybody would come out a winner. Health insurances may end up paying less for their coverage, or for their people they're covering, and as well as the people might lower the rates of obesity for sure.
And in regards to that, do you think that health insurance should cover obesity procedures? So if there is somebody, I'm not speaking of just people who are overweight, I'm thinking and speaking of people who are morbidly obese, people who can't actually get out of bed or walk, um, who can't take that step to do physical fitness. Should that type of procedures be covered, or even meal plans, just something to help people who are obese, kind of get that help, that step.
Mm. I think that might be a case to case basis. I mean, if somebody is at the point where they're almost going to die and might have to be taken care of by health insurance to just practically live, I think if that health insurance is already paying for that person for all those health costs, yes, I think they should be covered by obesity procedures. But bigger, even bigger so, I think health insurance program should now cover more meal plans, because really that goes with education. Most people don't know how to do meal plans, so they'll just buy the cheapest foods, or they'll just eat at inopportune times, and that all eventually leads to obesity. So I think meal plans for long-term prevention would be very helpful by health insurances.
And I just have a few more questions. I'm going to skip back to number 7. Um, do you feel that women or men have a higher risk to being obese with women with their hormones? I notice a lot more women are usually out of shape. Do you think that the sex factor of being female or male has anything to do with that?
Hmm. So we're comparing the genders and who's more
Mm-hmm.
susceptible to being obese, Jasmine. Okay. In general, if we're to take two fit individuals, a fit woman and a fit man, in general, the healthy body fat percent of each differs because of gender. Women need more body fat. We're looking at essential fat of 10 to 12%, because we're the ones that are childbearing and our hormones are different. So thus we need more body fat. Men, on the other hand, their essential fats is can be as low as 3 to 5%. Well, again, this is essential fat. And we're not looking at what the healthy amount of fat is. So if everybody in a society were physically active, I don't think one gender would be more susceptible to obese than another. It's just that we know women need slightly higher fat, but I think the only reason why we tend to see more women that are highly obese is because their fear and lack of knowledge of fitness and exercise programs as compared to men. It seems to be a more male chauvinistic type of activity when you're doing physical activity. But I think in today's society, though, women are stepping up and becoming more educated. So I don't think just because of gender, one gender is more susceptible to being obese than another.
Perfect. And I just have one more question. This is something that's always sparked my interest, but how much of an effect does metabolism have on obesity? Metabolism rate, that would be number 17.
Metabolism. I think the metabolism of our body, as well as our hormonal system of our body, is like, you can liken that to a transmission of a car. If your car's transmission is blown out, your car is going to malfunction. The same for our body. One of our most valuable pieces of equipment in our bodies are metabolism and our hormonal system. So how much of an effect does our metabolism have on obesity? Huge effect. And so rather than supposedly fighting obesity, if people switch their mindset towards, hey, let's improve my metabolism by these basic behavioral steps, then automatically obesity will take care of itself. See what I'm saying?
Yeah, and how would one count their metabolism or metabolic rate? How would they make that more efficient?
So ways to improve metabolism would be things such as having a healthy night's sleep every night. We see 7 to 9 hours every night of a deep, restful sleep is helpful because that's your time to optimally rejuvenate and get ready for the next day. So, sleep is great. Small, frequent meals is helpful in revving up our metabolism because you can liken that to say you're building a campfire, and if we slowly, constantly feed logs to the fire, that fire is going to keep burning. And the same goes for our metabolism. As we continue to feed our metabolism or our body, our metabolism will stay heated up. It's like a fire for us. So our metabolism means we want to keep our body heated. If somebody has a slow, sluggish metabolism, that means their fire is cold and then it won't burn calories throughout the day naturally. So eating small, frequent meals is great. Also, the quality and types of foods is helpful in increasing metabolism, and then also increasing physical activity. Balanced, not too much. Some people overdo it, but increasing physical activity also helps to improve metabolism. So overall, a balance of quality intake of foods and quality output of exercise will help balance out that metabolism.
Perfect. Well, I want to thank you for your time, Stephanie. That
Thank
was
you.
wonderful answering my questions. I will turn it here so Professor can see that I was the one doing the interview. Thank you and goodbye.